What's up, Bears fans? Get ready, because something big is brewing in Chicago. The next game isn't just another matchup, it's personal. The Bears are stepping back onto the field with revenge on their mind, and tonight, we're breaking down everything you need to know before that showdown. But before we dive into the latest Bears news and injury updates, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so you never miss a Bears update. Alright, let's move on to the latest story. The energy in Chicago is building as we head into Monday Night Football, Bears vs. Commanders, the rematch everyone's been waiting for. Last time, things didn't go our way. But this time? It's redemption time. Now, let's get into the injury front. The Bears have ruled out Grady Jarrett, who's still dealing with a knee injury. He missed the Raiders game before the bye week and hasn't practiced since. Coach Ben Johnson mentioned that Jarrett is the kind of veteran who might play without practice, but later the team made it official, he's out again this week. It's not the biggest loss on paper, but that defensive tackle group has already been struggling. Every missing piece hurts, especially when you're trying to make a statement game under the national lights. So yeah, Chicago will have to step up, next man up, no excuses. Stay with me, because the next update might just change how you see this matchup. When it comes to Grady Jarrett, all you can really do is hope that knee heals up soon. He's a veteran, and you never want to see an experienced guy like that struggling to get back on the field. Hopefully, he recovers quickly and returns to help this Bears defense where they need him most. Now, let's talk about a few other names on the injury list. Two key players are marked as questionable heading into Monday night. First, rookie tight end colston Loveland, still dealing with that hip issue he picked up in the Cowboys game. He already missed the Raiders matchup, and the hope is that he can finally suit up this week. The kid's shown flashes, and Chicago could really use that energy on offense. Then there's kicker Cairo Santos. He was a full participant in practice all week, but the team still listed him with a thigh injury. It's a bit puzzling. Maybe they're just being cautious. But if there's even a slight concern about that leg, and remember, his power isn't his strongest suit, the Bears might be thinking about giving Jake Moody a shot. He could be called up from the practice squad if needed, so keep your eyes open for that decision in the next few hours. Also, two other guys, Austin Booker and Travis Homer, are officially questionable too, but both have been practicing fully. The team opened their 21-day return windows this week, which means they're eligible to come back soon. Still, the Bears don't have to activate them right away. In Homer's case especially, since he's not expected to be a big part of the offense, they might decide to hold him off a little longer. It all depends on how confident the coaches feel heading into kickoff. So yeah, a few question marks, a few hopeful signs, but everything points to the Bears tightening up the roster right before the lights come on Monday night. Stay with me, because the next update might just change how you view this game. When it comes to the roster, things are getting interesting. If the Bears decide to activate someone onto the 53-man roster, they'll have to make a few corresponding moves, and that's where the tough decisions begin. Personally, I'd love to see Austin Booker out there. Chicago needs help with the pass rush, and the kid brings real energy off the edge. Sometimes, one young spark can light up an entire defense. Now, speaking of the lineup, Darnell Wright looks ready to go. No injury designation. He was limited on Friday, full go on Saturday, and officially cleared to play. From what I've heard, this is mostly about pain tolerance. Some people mentioned he might have torn his UCL, but remember, he's not a pitcher. He's not out there throwing footballs. The team will likely tape it up and let him fight through it. It won't be easy, but Wright's a tough guy, and I fully expect him to start on Monday night. If he struggles or the pain becomes too much, then sure, bring in Aussie Trapillo to take over. But as long as Wright is cleared, you start him. Period. No point keeping a warrior like that on the sideline. And the good news doesn't stop there. Several key names are officially back for Chicago. Kyler Gordon will finally make his season debut after missing over a month with that hamstring injury. TJ Edwards also returns, ready to go after tweaking his own hamstring earlier in the season. Jaquan Brisker had a quad issue and missed some practice time, but he's back as well, full participant, good to go. And let's not forget Jonah Jackson, also cleared and back to full strength. The Bears are finally starting to look healthier, and that's a big deal heading into a primetime game. The timing couldn't be better. Stay with me, because the next update could reveal exactly how these returning players might impact the matchup on Monday night. More good news on the injury front. Kyle Manungai, who missed a practice earlier in the week, is now a full go. He was dealing with a thigh issue, but the team says he's ready to roll. And as for the minor rib concern floating around, it doesn't seem serious at all, just something the trainers are keeping an eye on. So overall, the Bears are walking into this matchup in much better shape than we've seen recently. But that doesn't mean there aren't still some decisions to make. With Austin Booker and Travis Homer both returning to full participation, the question now is, are roster moves coming? If the Bears activate one or both of these players, someone else has to come off the 53-man roster. And that's where things get tricky. Booker's presence could really help the pass rush, something this defense desperately needs to bring back its spark. On the other hand, Homer's value depends on how much the coaching staff plans to use him, especially since the offense is already finding its rhythm without him. Either way, these are the kind of tough calls that can quietly shape how a team performs under the lights. Every move counts now, because Monday night isn't just another game, it's about momentum, pride, and proving the Bears are finally turning a corner. Stay with me, because what's coming next might just reveal how the Commanders are preparing for Chicago's new-look lineup. Now here's where things start to get interesting for Chicago. If the Bears want Austin Booker or Travis Homer to suit up this week, they'll have to make space on the 53-man roster, and right now, it's completely full. That means someone has to go. If they activate both Booker and Homer, two players will need to be cut. Activate just one, and one player has to move either by being released or placed on injured reserve. The only possible IR candidate would be Grady Jarrett, but that would sideline him for at least 4 games, and it's clear the team doesn't want to take that step yet. So, who could be on the bubble? A few names come to mind. DeMarco Jackson and Carl Jones are at the top of that list. With TJ Edwards now healthy, the Bears probably don't need both linebackers active. Between the two, Jones has bounced on and off the roster before, so he might be the odd man out if they decide to activate Booker. Now if Travis Homer gets the nod, things shift a bit. Would they move on from Roscoe Johnson? It's possible. He hasn't been heavily involved on offense, and if Homer is now healthier and more effective on special teams, that could make the difference. Of course, special teams coach Richard Hightower might want to keep both, but it's a conversation the coaching staff will have to face. Then there's Nick McLeod, a dark horse possibility. With Kyler Gordon returning, the Bears might not need 3 nickel corners. Blackwell offers more value on special teams. Remember those clutch plays, like the blocked field goal against the Raiders and that trick punt return versus the Packers last season. So McLeod could be at risk here, even though he's slightly better at the nickel position. A long shot name? Jay Walker. Not likely, but you can't rule anything out. And same goes for Devin DuVernay, though cutting him would raise another question: is Luther Burden ready to be the team's full-time returner? These are the kinds of choices that shape the roster heading into a big week. Every player fighting for a spot knows it, the pressure is on, and the smallest detail can decide who stays and who's out. Stay with me, because what comes next will show exactly how these moves might affect the Bears' game plan against Washington. Now let's shift the focus to Washington, because the Commanders are dealing with some serious problems of their own. Star wide receiver Terry McLaurin has officially been ruled out. That's a huge blow to their offense. And he's not the only one. Noah Brown is also out, which means 2 of Washington's top 4 receivers are unavailable heading into this matchup. That's major. With McLaurin gone, the entire dynamic changes. I originally thought the Bears would have to shadow him with Tariq Stevenson, but now? Chicago's defense can play things more balanced, maybe mix coverages, bring more pressure, and force the Commanders to beat them somewhere else. Deebo Samuel, yes, that Deebo, is also questionable with a heel injury. He's been pushing through it since last week, and if he can go, Washington will likely suit him up. But if he can't? That's 3 of their top receivers either sidelined or limited. Suddenly, you're looking at guys like Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane being asked to step into major roles. They might even have to call someone up from the practice squad just to fill out the rotation. And look, even without Jalen Johnson, I'd still take Chicago's secondary in that matchup, especially if Deebo sits out. If that happens, Washington's receiver room looks thin. Really thin. That's why I think the Bears' strategy should be simple: stack the box and stop the run. Don't let Washington's ground game get going. Force them to win through the air with a depleted receiver group. Play man coverage across the board, bring pressure, make the quarterback uncomfortable, and don't give him easy checkdowns. Now, a quick update on the trenches. Sam Cosmi, who's been out for several weeks, is listed as doubtful. Even though he practiced fully all week, it sounds like the Commanders are leaning toward giving him one more week to recover. I actually expected him to return at right guard, but it seems they're playing it safe. That could make life even tougher for Washington's offense, because missing McLaurin and a key lineman at the same time? That's not the kind of situation you want heading into prime time. Stay with me, because next, we'll break down how these injuries could shift the balance completely in Chicago's favor. Looks like Andrew Wiley will get another start at right guard, with rookie Josh Connerly holding it down at right tackle. That's a bit of a break for Chicago, because this matchup gives Jervin Dexter a real chance to create some chaos from the interior. If the Bears' front can collapse the pocket early, Washington could find itself in serious trouble. Now, let's talk bigger picture across the league. It was another wild Sunday around the NFL, and the results might actually play into Chicago's favor. First off, what a messy one in London. Broncos 13, Jets 11. And honestly, it was rough to watch. Negative passing yards from Justin Fields, that's hard to process. You've got to feel for the guy, but that was brutal. Elsewhere, the Panthers pulled off a surprise win over the Cowboys, which might quietly help the Bears. Why? Because Chicago already owns the head-to-head over Dallas, and Carolina doesn't pose much threat in the wildcard race. That win actually strengthens Chicago's position if they can handle business on Monday night. The Rams got the better of a short-handed Ravens squad, and speaking of Baltimore, John Harbaugh just announced that both Lamar Jackson and Roquan Smith will return after the bye. That's something to remember, because the Bears will meet them in just a couple of weeks. The Colts handled the Cardinals, which always helps. AFC teams beating NFC teams keeps the playoff race tighter for Chicago. Meanwhile, Seattle rolled past Jacksonville 20-2, improving to 4-2 on the year, and the Patriots edged the Saints 25-19. And let's not sleep on next week. New Orleans is up next for Chicago. Don't let that 1-5 record fool you. The Saints have been competitive in nearly every game, and Spencer Rattler has quietly been solid. That's a potential trap game, especially if the Bears come off a big win against Washington. Elsewhere, Chargers over Dolphins, 29-27. The Steelers handled the Browns 23-9, both of whom the Bears will face later this season. The Raiders finally snapped their losing streak with a 20-10 win over the Titans. And in the game we were all watching, Packers vs. Bengals, Joe Flacco found a little rhythm late, but not enough. Green Bay took it 27-18, moving to 3-1-1. Meanwhile, in one of the biggest matchups of the week, the Buccaneers took down the 49ers, 30-19, but it came at a cost. Linebacker Fred Warner suffered a brutal dislocated ankle and is done for the season. San Francisco's injury list just keeps growing, and the Bears will see them late in Week 17. Now all eyes turn to Lions vs. Chiefs. And you know what? Every Bears fan should be saying it, go Chiefs. A Lions loss would tighten things up in the NFC North and give Chicago a little breathing room if they can take care of business tomorrow night. So, there you have it, injuries, roster questions, and a full NFL shakeup heading into Monday Night Football. The Bears have decisions to make on Austin Booker and Travis Homer, and those calls must come before 3 p.m. tomorrow. The next 24 hours could quietly shape what happens under the lights. Stay with me, because things are about to get real in Chicago.